Why, hello YouTube. Welcome back to Super Lorcana World. Yesterday was an absolute insane news dump. Not only did we get new cards, which we'll talk about in a later video, but we got the rules. We officially know how to play the Lorcana trading card game. We know everything. Turn order, how to win, everything. There is no longer any more speculation. And honestly, the speculating phase was fun, but now we get to actually deal with hard, concrete topics. So this is the comprehensive guide on how to play the Lorcana trading card game. Everything is here. By the end of this video, you'll know how to play the card game. You'll know everything you need to know. And that's all I gotta say. Put a lot of work into this. There's some good edits, a little bit of animation, and there's even a demo in the second half of the video on how, that shows you how to play the game, basically. So hopefully you guys watch that and watch everything before that and after that to make sure you understand the core fundamentals. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and let me know. Also leave a comment and let me know what you think. Also like the video and also subscribe. We are new channel and we really care about Lorcana here. So let's get this channel going. Which reminds me, I have a subscription giveaway now. Once we hit 500 subs, I'm going to give away this little Oswald Disney 100 Lucky Rabbit. I was going to start a Disney shelf in my background, as you guys can kind of sort of see. But I don't have time for that, so I'm just going to give this away at 500. And it's really, really cool. So subscribe, and we'll get to that giveaway. But with that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoy the comprehensive guide on how to play the Lorcana trading card game. Super Lorcana World is your one-stop shop. I'm happy to make these videos, and enjoy it, guys. The very first thing we need to talk about is deck construction. You cannot actually play the Lorcana trading card game unless you have a legal deck to use. Your deck has to be 60 card minimum. It can be more than 60 cards, but it cannot be less. You're also only allowed 4 copies of each card in your deck. You can use the same card name, but it has to have that different mini name underneath the main name. 2 Mickey Mouses there, 2 different mini names. You can use 4 of each in your deck. And you're allowed to have up to 2 inks per deck. You cannot have 3 or more. So you can play Ruby Amethyst, but you can't play Ruby, Amethyst, and Sapphire, let's say. 2 maximum, 1 minimum. Those are the deck building rules. Moving on to the types of cards. There are 3 main types of cards in the Lorcana trading card game. Characters that exert and help you win the game. There are items which give you advantages and help your characters out and help you out. And action cards that give you a one-time advantage and used immediately. A subclass of actions are called songs. Songs are special actions where if you have a character with a certain cost requirement, instead of paying ink from your inkwell, you can use the creature, exert it, and use the card for that cost of 0, which is amazing. The card breakdown here, we're going to go just one step at a time. We have the cost, which shows how much ink it needs to be played. We have the inkwell wheel, which shows that that card can be placed in your inkwell. Cards that do not have the inkwell wheel cannot be used as ink. The name of the card, as well as its additional name and classification, is there. Dreamborn Sorcerer. The ink type is there as well. Abilities and effects, any special abilities and effects are listed there. Then we have the strength, which is the attack, the willpower, which is the defense, and the lore tokens. Those are the amount of lore you get when you exert and quest. At the bottom of the card as well, you'll see a rarity icon. There are 5 different rarities at this time, so that when you pull your card in your pack, you know what rarity it is. Characters are the most complicated in terms of what's on the card, but that's okay. You'll get used to it, no problem at all. Now, how to win the game, very important. The main objective is to obtain 20 lore counters. To do this, you'll have to take your characters on quests. In order to take a character on a quest, it has to be in play for at least 1 turn, unless it has rush. To go on a quest, you exert your character, turn it sideways, and you add lore tokens equal to the lore counters on the right-hand side of the card. Mickey Mouse would get you 4. And as soon as you have 20 lore counters total, you win the game. Alternatively, if your opponent decks out, if your opponent is unable to draw a card when they need to draw a card at any point in time, you automatically win the game as well. To start the game off, you need to do a lot of different things. For starters, you need to shuffle your deck. I know, very important. Card games, you gotta shuffle the deck well and thoroughly. You need to set your lore tracker to 0 because you start with 0 lore counters. Then you draw your opening hand of 7 cards, no more, no less. You can choose to mulligan unless it is game 1. In Lorcana, matches are best 2 out of 3, so while in game 1 you cannot mulligan, you can mulligan game 2 or game 3. A reason you might do this is if you don't have many cards in hand to use as ink, or if your hand is all wonky with play costs. In order to mulligan, take as many cards from your hand as you want, put them on the bottom of the deck, draw that many cards from your deck to fill you back up to 7 cards, and then you shuffle your deck. You can do the mulligan once per game. Again, can't do this during the first game of the set, but definitely do this. It will help you get a chance to get better cards in your opening hand. So definitely take advantage of mulligans. It's a feature that card players love to have. And finally, you randomly decide who goes first. You can do this by rolling a die, flip a coin, play rock, paper, scissors, do an arm wrestle if you really want to, you know what I mean? Just randomly decide who will go first and leave it at that. Now we move on to the actual turn order. Now that the game has started, what happens? Well, you begin with the beginning phase, which is kind of like ready, set, go if you think about it. It's ready, set, draw. Ready is you untap all your cards. Set is use your cards that have any effects before the draw phase, and then draw a card for a turn. Unless you're going first, you don't draw on your first turn. We proceed to the main phase, where you can do any of these actions in any order you want. It's fully flexible. You can add a card to your inkwell once per turn. You can play as many cards as you can. You can activate as many items as you can. You can use as many non-exert abilities that you're allowed to use. Now, characters cannot exert the turn they are played. So if a character's on the field the previous turn, you can now exert that character, and you can exert it to either quest, you can exert it to challenge a character, or you can exert it to activate its effects. We are going to talk about challenging a little bit later. You can also exert it to use a song if you have a song in your hand, as mentioned earlier. So definitely a lot you can do in your turn. And then you end your turn when you have nothing else you can do. And that's okay. The whole point is to efficiently use your ink and do as much as you can to gain an advantage over your opponent. Now we have examples with a little bit of animating going on here. Just a little bit of a sample of gameplay so you can see how things work. 2 players, bottom player, top player. Both players draw 7 cards for their opening hand and the games begin. The bottom player reveals Captain Hook because you need to reveal the card you put in your inkwell to verify it has that inkwell symbol on it. Once revealed, it goes face down in the inkwell. It's no longer a card that matters. Nothing matters except that it's ink. Notice how the player is suspending the ink in order to play Captain Hook for a cost of 1. He can do that because Captain Hook costs 1. The top player then drew for his turn because there's nothing else that the bottom player could do. Top player took an 8th card in his hand, revealed it, and put it as ink. He exerted that 1 ink to play the 1 cost Captain Hook as well. It appears we have a bit of a mirror match going on. Nothing wrong with some 1 cost weenies. Now it is the untap phase for the bottom player who untapped the ink. The ready phase. In the set phase, nothing else to do. We draw for turn. Elsa was drawn by the bottom player, and the bottom player is going to reveal Elsa to verify the inkwell symbol is there, and Elsa is going to become an ink to be used for other cards. Bottom player is going to exert that ink to play a Captain Hook, and with the previously played Captain Hook, before the turn passes, the player is going to exert it to quest. In order to quest, it is exerted, and then you get 1 lore counter added, 19 to go. The turn is now over. The new player has nothing else to do besides play ink. The player is going to attack the suspended and exerted Captain Hook. It has Challenger +2 when attacking, so it's going to deal 3 damage to the rested and exerted Captain Hook, and only 1 damage dealt back. Because though Captain Hook with 3 damage only has full power of 2, it is banished, and the other Captain Hook remains alive. White Rabbit's Pocket Watch is an example of an item card here. To use the item card effect, you have to exert it, pay 1 ink, and give a character rush. That's how you activate an item ability. Just meet the requirements and do it. And finally, actions. Actions just pay the ink cost, do what the action says in case of banish chosen character, and then you get rid of the card. Discard it. Finally, I want to talk about multiplayer. Multiplayer works in clockwise turn order. In addition to that, all effects are resolved in clockwise or order, to the left. So if you're playing a four-way game, let's say, decide who goes first, and then from then on, it goes in clockwise order. If you have a card that says deal 2 damage to each opponent's character, you'll start by doing the opponent on the left, and then the following character, then the following character, and go all the way around the table clockwise. And that's how multiplayer works. We don't have any other specifics at the time regarding this, but that's okay. And that'll do it for the comprehensive rule guide on how to play the Lorcana card game. We are still lacking some information on keyword abilities like Shift, but once we have that information, we'll update this. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think about this guide. With that, have a great day. We'll talk to you later.